Okay, close on the doors. I love you.
My name's Guy Kesselman. I've been a professional mountain bike tester for over 23 years. And today, I'm up at Stainburn on my usual test tracks with my faithful wingman, Ryan Stockton, and not one, but two Hope HB130 Lancashire hand-built trail bikes. So, if you're wondering why I've got two bikes here, it's not just because I want to try an orange one and a green one, while Ryan's on the Fox bike up ahead. I'm on the Ohlins suspension, and definitely a difference from just having, I mean, I've not ridden the Fox much yet, but definitely a significant difference in the ride character depending on which option you go for. Okay, so I was on the Ohlins bike with the RF X36 M2 fork, CTX Air Shock, and now I'm on Fox bike, so 36 grip damper, grip 2 damper, and a DX2 on the back end, and quite interesting. Bike feels smoother, but feels like it's diving deeper. So feels like there's more going on with the shock. But after 3 or 4 days dialing the Ohlins, Fox doesn't feel as controlled or as poised as the Ohlins bike does. So, interesting first feedback there. This initial rides on Ohlins, I was not pleased at all. Very clattery, didn't seem to carry speed well. And this is why I asked for the Fox bike to compare. But the Fox is definitely easy to set up, but certainly feels more wallowy and kind of soft through the mid-stroke now I'm used to the Ohlins. So a more comfortable ride, but it doesn't feel like it's got that kind of edge and planted stance of the Ohlins. But plush over that stuff, even though tyre pressures are absolutely identical, and if both bikes running those Fortis 26 rims, Hope's own alloy rim. So what's your feedback, Ryan?
Wow. I think this...
Speak up.
I prefer the Fox. When I got on it, a little softer. Not like it's ratting the travel better. But now I'm back on the Ohlins, I think it's better for being firmer.
Yeah, I think I finally found the sweet spot.
I think so.
Because neither of us were happy with it first run out, were we?
Not at all. Yeah, it seems to hold the turns better. And not dive in like the Fox fork.
Yeah, it really felt like this dived.
It dived, yeah.
I mean, I'm going off their benchmark pressures, but it feels like, I mean, I've used up nearly all the travel. It feels like I definitely want some more low speed in this 36.
Yep.
And maybe even some volume spaces. And the back end feels kind of mushy. Feels like everything's a bit softer with this Fox shock on board. So, already interesting putting the two back to back. So, still on the Fox bike, but I've added some low speed compression to the fork now to stand it up. Options are more limited on the back. All I've really got is the rebound and the big climb lever to play with, so that's just going to have to be a back at base tuning job. But at low speed already sitting the front end up a lot better, so I can work that DHF more aggressively. But it's definitely more mobile feel than the Ohlins bike. Makes the whole bike kind of feel flexier. And up till now, certainly the front end, it's felt pretty tight. To say there is some flex in that bonded back end. Those sort of heavily machined chainstays, that narrow stance even, aren't the stiffest way to interact. Whoa, bit of a slap there from the stump. But it does pop nicely, and that compliance, the old cliche about it, it's giving it slightly ductile, more grippy feel than a super rigid bike. Definitely holding true, but that was a proper slap there as I put the shock down hard, and it's running the same pressures as the TTX on the Ohlins bike, but it definitely felt like I hit full travel there with 200 psi in, which is a fair amount for a 70 kilo rider like me. It just kind of lacks a little bit of the pop that the Ohlins bike has. Kind of feels strict, like it's got its hair pulled back on the Ohlins bike, whereas this is a bit looser, a bit more open in feel. So gonna have to see how Ryan's got on over this longer, rockier run, but hope bars are pretty damn stiff, so getting a little bit of fatigue in the arms now. So it'll be interesting to see how Ryan's going on the Ohlins bike, because certainly not far behind me. I can hear that from the free hub. Okay, instant feedback. How much arm buzz?
Yeah, a lot of arm buzz, and the back still doesn't track as much as I'd like it to.
Yeah, it's pretty twangy back end, isn't it?
Yeah, but it turns and grips well.
Yeah,
I like the front end a lot.
Yeah, travel looks about right. In terms of the travel adjuster rings there on the fork. I think 3 or 4 days with the Ohlins, and a couple of emails back and forth with Doddy and Dan and Woody, who developed the bike. We have pretty much got it dialed in, but this is much more mobile feel on the DPX2 here. Again, pretty much full travel, and not far off on the fork either, but certainly kind of lacking that mid-stroke support. I mean, a lot better with the low-speed compression damping on, but probably still go for another volume spacer in there, or maybe even 2.
One thing to add is that the shape of the bike feels great underneath me. Just getting little pedals in, moving it over rocks. It just feels really good.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's really centered, kind of balanced feel, isn't it?
Yep.
That's the feedback I was getting. So regardless of your suspension choice, basic chassis and geometry really well sorted. That 60, I mean, these are both running in low, so 66 degree end angle, 75.8 degree seat, I think. Is that right, Tilly? And 470mm reach, so kind of somewhere slightly beyond kind of specialized Santa Cruz in terms of reach for a large, but you know, not super progressive, kind of pole Kotick white kind of territory. Nicely balanced,
yeah, lovely and maneuverable.
and I think I've said it already, but it's worth going over again. That steeper seat angle definitely helps in terms of just putting in a more natural position for attacking these steep sort of turn-ins on these techie climbs here at Stainburn. Slightly more natural position, but there's a lot of pedal bob with this Fox. Shock in there. Oh no, I've failed even so. And definitely more tempted to reach for that climb lever on the DPX2 and go for the compression lever on the Ohlins bike. It needs a bit more rebound as well. Maybe calm that bounce down
to settle the rear end somewhat. And having ridden it back to back with other bikes, that flexi back end does seem to suck some of the power out of the equation when you're really cranking it on climbs. This Grip 2 damper with that new smaller diameter 8mm shaft on it for this year, and the Evolve spring on the back, definitely feeling more fluid over the small stuff, and you sink more naturally down into the bike on this box bike than you do on the Ohlins bike. And there's a bit of a crank clatter there from that low bottom bracket as I try and keep up with Tilly, but definitely more mobile feel out of the saddle, and even going up through these berms there's more bounce and more movement than there is on the Ohlins bike. So, and with less tuning capability, that's kind of always going to be there. So, two very different ride feels depending what suspension package you go for. So, Brian and I just swapped round then just to repeat the same section, and straight away just scooting down, this Ohlins bike felt like it was totally locked out. If you just see her going at slow speeds, super rigid, kind of thumping feel as you sat on top of it, but then when you start rolling, it just really sucks down and hooks into the trail. So I don't know if that's just a rebound thing, but definitely a lot more stable, kind of fixed character to the ride. So into the red on the Ohlins bike now, and instantly kind of more control. Feel like we've got more kind of sense of what the tyres are doing. That mid-stroke really let me drop my heels, carve it round, even than the bike with Fox bike with more low speed in, but more kind of thump coming through into my arms already, and it exacerbates that flex in the back end. You can definitely feel the bike skipping around more, running a bit wider on there, and if you don't pick the fork up, it's definitely not as forgiving through these oak bars, but there, as you're launching out of corners like that, it's just a lovely kind of poise and push, loads to play with there, and spot lands those sections beautifully, pops that nicely. So if you're a rider who wants to push harder, feel more of the trail to work with, cutting a bit tighter, I'm definitely thinking Ohlins now, the way to go. After really not liking it at first, and it's a more punishing ride for sure. Already feeling it through my legs, and obviously further into the ride now, but just cutting everything that bit tighter, launching that little bit further, and landing with a little bit more control. If I was racing, definitely go Swedish with my suspension choice, whereas sort of trail comfort, an easy setup, probably go with that plusher, car park friendly box feel, because very aware of the grips now and the fact those hand-built Hope bars with that fat centre section are pretty stiff, but definitely put a much bigger gap into Ryan on the Ohlins bike than I did on the Fox bike, which is telling. And fresh from the tail feedback is
less front end grip.
Yeah.
On this.
That's predictable, isn't it? Just slightly less predictable. I mean, to be fair to Fox, I've spent a lot more time dialing this Ohlins setup, and it certainly wasn't kind of intuitive to start with, but when you get it there, this is an absolute railer.
Yes.
As far as the chassis allows. I mean, the front end grip is amazing. Back end with that flex, it does get a little bit wayward, and I think with a much bigger tyre you're in danger of buzzing the rubber on the stays there, because there's not much clearance as it is. But yeah, in terms of that kind of race poised feel, Ohlins, in terms of kind of long distance cruising comfort,
yes.
Fox.
Yes. Yeah, softer ride feel, more comfortable until it starts to get really gnarly, and then it just seems to, yeah, lose front end grip compared to the Ohlins.
Yeah. So comfy up until it stops feeling composed, whereas this, uncomfortable until that composure really, really counts.
Yes.
Mint. Brum brum.
Brum.
Go again.
On the first drop in when I landed, I thought, yes, this is the one. Dropping in off that first step down into the rough, that softness just felt right, but then further on, pushing on into the bumpy turns, just that front end didn't want to track. Like,
yeah, it's weird because you jump on this bike and it feels like it's almost like the shocks are full of water. That first kind of initial couple of hits, you're like, bloody hell.
Oh, yeah.
But as soon as you get some rolling speed into it, it's almost like the whole system wakes up, and suddenly it's actually really, really smooth once you start hitting meaningful stuff.
Bigger hits, faster, better.
For racers, definitely.
I think so.
Yeah. But again, a nice neutral chassis for playing silly buggers of suspension on.
Yeah, it's a great shaped chassis, it really is. It feels good.
And there's definitely, feels like you're running more tyre pressure when you're riding this Ohlins fork than when you're on the Fox. So firmer connection to the ground, but when it needs to move, it's so smooth and so controlled. Although there's a bit more kind of percussion through the bike feel, the actual control is immaculate, and it also feels a bit quicker when it starts rolling as well. So, hope you've, sorry, that wasn't an intentional pun. Hope you've enjoyed that head-to-head between the Fox and Ohlins bikes. Certainly enjoyed playing around with the shocks for the past week. Thanks very much for Hope for lending me not just one bike but two bikes, so I could really go in depth on this review. Massive thanks to Ryan for riding today and also doing some of the tuning and tweaking over the weekend. Ryan's also one of my Patreon investors, so if you want to see more unsponsored by manufacturer edits like this one, is the best way to do it. So I'm going to put a list of subscribers scrolling up in these end credits. But thanks for watching, thanks for sharing, click for notifications. Thanks to Can't Quit Cartel for the jersey, thanks to Camelback for the sternum protector, Endura for shorts, Endura for knee pads, Mavic for the boots, even though Michelle will kill me because these are slightly out of date ones, they just had the right cleats in. Can't Quit Cartel socks, and Red Bull Spec eyewear under a Giro helmet. I'll be doing mini reviews of all that kit separately, so keep watching the channel for that. Oh, and Enduro gloves as well. But massive thanks to Hope. It's, you know, it's a stunning bike in terms of how it's made, how it's put together, story behind it, and it rides really, really well as well. I mean, but that's all in the build video, and there's a very, very long-winded and reverential tech talk video to go with this as well. Sun's coming out again, we're going to do some more riding, some shock look back video, and I need to shut up talking. Thanks very much.
See how that feels.
Oh, already a bit more sludgy. That fork's better though, isn't it?
Okay, scores on the doors. I'd have the Ohlins.
What's that?
Scores on the doors. I'd go for the Ohlins. That's the final verdict from
And that's the final verdict, folks.
me. That's the one.